Welcome to this video about wingfoiling progression and the experiences I made in session 10 to 40. This video is a follow-up video to another one I did some months back about the progression for the first 10 hours. And this video is particularly aimed at wingfoilers that have learned to fly stable and are looking into the next phases of learning. And the focus of the video will be the different learning curves, what equipment I've been through, and the different types of progression that one can choose to spend your time on. So I will start by looking on, I guess, for me at least, a big factor of the sport, which is all the gear. And I guess I have already been through a lot of gear. I started out with the Gong beginner package. That included a very large beginner foil and this specific board, the Hipe First 511, 135 liter. And then after around 60 sessions or so, I progressed into this board here, the Hipe Pro, the 5.3 105 liter board. And as you can see here, as I mentioned, I used the beginner board for the first 15-16 sessions or so. So I think the Gong beginner board, the 511 first, was a very easy board to start with. I actually have no complaints about that board as a starter board at all. As some mention, these inflatable boards, they do have some stickiness to the water. And after I just recently tried a hard board, I think I can confirm that is a real thing. So it is a bit harder to get out of the water, but all the upsides of having the inflatable board, such as a bit easier when you fall onto the board, you don't hit yourself as hard, and there's no repairs necessary to such a board. I just think the pros outweigh the cons far in the beginning at least. Okay, but moving on to another part of the gear, the foil. So the front ring, the stab, and the mast combinations. So I've been through the Gong Rise series that came with the beginner board, and then after 6 sessions or so, I can see here that I used the Rise for 8 sessions. It says so. After 8 sessions, I changed it with the Curve XL. And after sessions with Curve XL, I actually also tried the Crossover XL, but I quickly changed it over to the high aspect Curve series, and actually I found the Curve HL, so 1100 square centimeters version. I found it actually as easy as the non-high aspect version, at least for me. So I just thought that it had a better glide, and it was more fun, better top speed. So it has been my absolute favorite front ring and stab combination. And as you can see, I've used it now for 16 sessions, so it is my all-time favorite combination so far. I also bought actually the Curve H XXL as a light wing. But as you can see, I've only used it 7 times, and for all these sessions that I used it, I actually found that I could just as easily have used my Curve HL instead, because it actually has so much lift that I did not have the need for the XXL version. Keeping that in mind, the XXL is easier in the beginning, and it has an incredibly low stall speed, so you can almost fly so slow that you're almost stopping, and it's not dropping down. So that's quite nice in the beginning, at least. As for the different masts, you can see that my all-time favorite here is the high Modulus 85 mast, which I bought in quite early in my progression, and it has just been an amazing mast. And I did not use any of the aluminium masts after I bought this mast. So I was considering maybe I should have bought a bit longer mast, because in some of the choppy water I could have used the 92 centimeters version instead. But I'm absolutely happy with the high Modulus 85. So going forward to the wing statistics, you can see that I've used a 4, 5 and 6 square meter wing. And by far the most used size, for me at least, is the 5 square meter. So I've used that for 2/3 of the sessions actually. And currently I have a team series of the Droid. So that's the I think it's called UPE series that handles a bit higher pressure. And it's in overall terms, it's just a really nice wing. I would like to change my 2 pluses to either Neutral or Droid, because I think that it's just a more nice wing, at least for my preference. I think the Plus it's very smooth. It's not pulling that hard, but I really like the fact that the Droid, it just, when you want power, it just delivers power instantaneously. So it's really nice when you're like pumping out of the water and getting up. I'm just preferring the feel of the Droid by far to the Plus. Yeah, so I'll also talk a bit about the different spots that I have sailed. So as you can see here, we have quite a nice area for wingfoiling in this part of Denmark, in the eastern part of Denmark, of Jutland, where I'm living. So you can see you have like the coast going around here. This is an example of a session there. And you have places like this where it's kind of open sea, but it's still protected. So that gives the opportunity to choose a direction based on the conditions that you want, how much waves you want, and do you want flat water, then you can always drive to a different location that will give you these conditions. So I think for wingfoiling, this part of Denmark is just very nice. It opens up a lot of opportunities. And for the statistics here, you can see that I've spent most of my sessions in flat water spots, but almost 50-50. So I had this motivation, as I mentioned earlier, for going out in the waves. So I think as soon as I felt the confidence to going to more open, not so protected spots, I chose to do that. Although it has also been frustrating to try to water start in these conditions, but yeah. So I've spent quite some time in both the protected and not so protected spots so far. So this video here is actually from one of the latest sessions, showing the level of progression I'm at the moment, and this was a really nice session in the sun, with some nice small waves rolling in. And this is exactly what this topic is about the waves, because this has been the driving motivation for me to go out and ride small bumps like this that is not even breaking, because that's what you can do on a foil. And I think this is some of the areas where foiling is just so superior to windsurfing. That is my background, because you can actually go out in conditions like this, so small waves not even breaking, and you can feel the power of the wave, and you can have fun anyway. And that is just extremely rewarding if you invest the time in learning how to foil in these small waves and handle the conditions where it gets a bit rough sometimes. But it is so rewarding, and I can just really recommend going in this direction. So if you're living like in a place where you have small wind waves but not clean swell, and are kind of wishing that you had better waves so you could wave surf in your location, I think wingfoiling is the sport for you, because it opens up the possibility of actually surfing these waves and like flagging out the wing and playing with the waves. Yeah. So the different types of progression. You could either go for more advanced equipment, smaller boards, smaller foil, higher aspect foils, because that will, each time that you change such a component, it will of course require some getting used to, and therefore it will take up some valuable time, training time underwater, that you could have spent on unlocking, for instance, more moves. So that's why I have listed up these 3 focus areas of progression, which is the more advanced equipment, unlocking more spots, and also unlocking more moves. And of course, there is a spillover effect between these directions. For instance, if you aim to unlock more moves where there's more chop and more waves, you will of course also get more experienced in some new techniques, such as water starting in these conditions, and also be able to getting better at pumping the wing to get up in these conditions and so forth. But I think in general terms, you can really make a decision here about how to progress. And I made the decision that as soon as I was able to get up and foil, I wanted to go out in more difficult conditions, and I want to get out in spots closer to where I am living. And I think that has hindered my progression in my actually moves. So I'm at session 42 now, and I'm still not able to jive consistent. I'm still not able to do foot switches, but I am, however, getting more confident in riding swell, and I can go out in, I guess, almost any condition, chop, waves, and wind speeds at the moment. And I also I've changed a lot of the gear, so I'm sailing on much smaller high aspect foils now, smaller boards, and so I've spent a lot of time getting used to all those kind of things. However, it is very clear to me that I'm really lacking some skills in my jibes, for instance. So I fall every time I try to turn, and that is extremely annoying at times. So before the summary here, we'll just state that wingfoiling is still extremely fun and interesting. That was one of the conclusions that I made in the first video about my progression. And I think nothing has changed there. It's just so many areas of development that you can focus on, and still about different conditions, different kind of gear, trying out smaller foils, going faster, pumping, riding the waves, and all that is just getting more and more fun the more time you spend on the water, actually. As for the summary, I think, at least for me, I think it was very nice to progress into smaller foils. I really like the high aspect curve series from Gong. I think it's an excellent combination of turn radius, glide, lift. I think just a really good overall foil, and I don't think it's even though it says high aspect, I think it's easy to learn on. And I also just want to emphasize again that you must try sailing some waves, playing with some waves if you are wingfoiling, because this is just an aspect of different surf disciplines here where wingfoiling is, I think, shining. It's so fun to play with. And also for the different types of progression, I think just choose whatever, just be aware that there are really different directions of progression. So if you really want to go out and sail waves, you can actually go out pretty quickly, even though you cannot make a jibe. But if you really just want to master the basic skills, stay on your beginner gear, I guess. At least don't change too quickly the board size. It will not benefit the learning of a jibe much, I think. So if you really want to go out there and learn these techniques for jibing and so forth, spend your time doing that. It's quite basic, actually. You will be good at what you practice. But nevertheless, whatever direction you choose, it will be fun. Yeah, and if you have any tips for other wingfoilers learning out there, just please leave a comment or anything. Otherwise, I'm very glad that you watched the video, and maybe I'll see you out there foiling.